Okay, we're live. This time the camera works-ish. All right, let me post it on the Twitter. Yee. Cannot keep a good immortal down. Or a bad one, I guess. Anyway, hey, I will wait for a couple of viewers, I suppose, or a viewer, and I will start answering questions. Until then, I'll smoke my pipe, and I am drinking Grangestone 18, for those who might watch this recording later. And I figure ominous lighting and a dog collar and a Hawaiian shirt and an N7 hoodie, which you can't really tell. So maybe hold this up. Seem to be an appropriate layering of stuff for this auspicious evening. Also, my hair is normally not this spiky, but I drove with my window down earlier and it has not stood up yet. Okay. Of course, it is Saturday night. It is like nearly midnight Pacific time. So as a time to end a Kickstarter goes, yet this is not a great time. And I knew that months before going in, but I am one to commit to a joke. So, you know, if you're going to start a Kickstarter, end a Kickstarter, start it in the middle of a day that is certainly not April 1st and end in like the middle of a weekday, like, you know, Thursday, something like that. Not Saturday night at midnight Pacific time. But anyway, well, I don't have any viewers right now, but I do have one question that I will totally answer, because otherwise it's just me smoking my pipe and drinking scotch and staring into the darkness. What I learned, I guess, yeah, I could talk about what I learned doing this Kickstarter and my best moment. I think the best moment, and if I can get it to work right, I'll play it. I have no idea if I can get it to work right, is, I don't know, I'm really horrible at superlatives. Like, I don't want to say it's something the best moment, because then I'll invariably like forget something else as a best moment or whatever, right? So let me see if I can go to SoundCloud though and go to Tim Rodriguez's Katanas and Trenchcoats, which I am super stoked. But that was fantastic that he put this thing together. And let me go ahead and see if it will play. All right. So we actually have a viewer, so I'll put this much lower so it'll be background music for the next couple minutes, or the next minute. So yeah, so I guess the oh, come on, load. 7 seconds, 4 seconds, 3, 2, 1, and it's done. Wow. For some reason I keep thinking midnight. Of course, it's actually 11:59. So the final tally is, as soon as I reload it, just to make sure it got exactly the right count, because sometimes the count can be slightly laggy. 895 backers, $32,766, which is fantastic. I am super excited about that. But yeah, so I don't know, like I was saying, and I don't know if anyone was doing it at the time, I really don't like best or worst moments. At least I don't like best moments. I'm definitely really good at coming up with the worst. But some really great moments. Being a day one funder was fantastic, and I talked on the Twitch show that I was on about 10 or 15 days, somewhere in the middle of the campaign, that my budget for this assumed up to $5,000 of my own money going into it. And actually, at this point, that's still a possible thing. Obviously, the less I have to spend of that, the better, because I just bought a car, and I have rent and bills and stuff like that. So like, I don't have like a lump of cash. I just know I can do that if needed. and possibly like do like borrow some money from some people who know that it would come back on, like, say, backer kit funding and stuff like that. So, but I did that to make sure that I could, like, basically have some skin in the game. Say, hey, I can commit to this, to doing this project with this much. If I get more, that's fantastic. But this is basically minimum product, minimum project funding. And when we were a day one funder, that was pretty exciting. And that's when I started exploring other options. That's when I had a quote in for a hardcover beforehand, but I hadn't had a quote in for hardcover color, so I was running that quote before even finding out how much I could offer hardcover at, just in case I happened to be able to also get the color. And the funding there looked like we were able. I wasn't sure about 4 or 5 days ago if we'd hit it, and we made more than 10% of the funding goal in like the total funding in the last last couple days. So that 48-hour point is magic. But yeah, and stuff I learned. I had the metagame concept in my head, and it was semi-defined. I needed to see how people would react to this particular form of game to figure out how, like, the scoring and the pacing and stuff was going to work. That's why I was a little cagey at first, because it was something that other people hadn't really done. Like, there was achievement-based stuff. You do this thing, you get a thing. And I wanted to do something that was a much longer burn thing. You do these things, and as you do these things, this collection of stuff will unlock stuff along the way. And I said, here's some stuff we might unlock, as in, who knows if we'll get to that point of unlocking it. Here are the things you can do. And watching no one really engage in that strongly, like I think like a couple people kind of playing around with it a little bit. I'm going to go ahead and play that song again. Because I have to, there we go. Haha. But yeah, so it was sort of this thing where I'm trying to figure out what it is, this different form of something, because I didn't want to do, and I don't want to do things like Twitter likes or Twitter follows, Facebook likes, things like that. That's really passive engagement, and that's a numbers game and not a, hey, join me in this ridiculous thing game. And it's really easy for that engagement to also just drop. Like, people are willing to follow and then mute an account, for instance, if they're kind of tired of it, or follow and then unfollow when they're done. Right? It's not really adding anything to it. So I wanted something that would add to what's going on. Yeah, I guess I learned quickly how to actually structure that in a way that people would care about. Figured out, okay, these things work like this, and at this sort of interval, we can all tell that something's going to get unlocked. But yeah, so that's, I don't know, that was it. Are there any other questions? There aren't, but that is kind of a big question. It's like how, and I'm going to do a breakdown on my blog later about the money involved, partly because I have to wait for all the credit cards and everything to get processed. I think I have friends who vary between assuming a 2% and a 5% drop in pledges that don't actually clear credit card, which is, fine. It's like, I totally get it. That's certainly no judgment on me. It's the same thing, like, if people have, like, backed out, definitely no judgment. Like, I assume that anybody who backed out, either it's like, oh, turns out that as you talked about the project, it wasn't my thing, or, hey, money is expensive, which I totally get. But as I'm going through and I'm dealing with the budget, it's sort of a preliminary, assuming a bunch of things. My Excel spreadsheet has me saying that at the funding level I have, minus the shipping amount, which consists of over 10% of that funding is people shipping that I have to take out. 10% of it goes to Kickstarter and Swipe and backer kit, more or less, like, I think 10.5, but I'll find out at the end when I get the actual money. Altogether, roughly half of the money raised actually gets to go to the creative costs. It's like printing, saving for shipping, and the campaign costs themselves take up about 50% of that funding. So being able to go from having maybe $8,000 for a single book that was going to be black and white to having $16,000 for a single book and some supplemental PDFs that are going to be in color makes it much, let's say sort of much easier. It gives me a lot more breathing room for when bad things happen, the project will not burn. And that's why I'm really excited that we got to this point. And I'm pretty stoked that, I know not only that you guys are interested in this, but also that a lot of people ended up playing the metagame and just getting people. That was the thing. Like, money is going to say, hey, people are actually interested in buying this. The metagame told me people are actually interested in caring. And that's what kind of kept me going of like, yeah, I'm really excited to keep doing this. Found some people who are really excited about that. If other people want to tweet at me, I'll see if there are any questions on the hashtag. But if you just tweet at me, I will happily answer other questions for, say, like the next 10 minutes. And I'll add that to, I'll also tweet, hey. But, oh, right, there's some sort of like, let me try that again and not play a random like meow thing. No, related tracks on SoundCloud, that's why. Related tracks on SoundCloud is Meow the Jewels Meowlery. All right.
Katanas, Trenchcoats. It's how I live my life.
This is just fucking ridiculous. This is great. Let's see.
Normal life got traded away.
Yeah, I did mention, you know, the timing of it. This being the very early on bit of trying to convince people that it's not a joke project. I mean, when you do anything on April 1st, you are already doing an uphill battle. And I knew that from last year. In fact, at my day job, they also launched a product on April 1st, and they kept saying, please don't do this. This is like the worst idea that I've heard in a while. People really want the thing you're talking about, and if you launch today, they're going to think it's a joke, and they're going to be really, really untrustworthy, and you're going to spend a lot of energy convincing people it is not a joke. The trick with that is to pre-convince people as best as you can, which I did in year one, and I learned how to do it in year one with the lead up, and I did the same here. The advantage here of being a full 30 days for people to figure out you know, what's going on, that is a real project, and all of that. No questions yet. So there's also a Q&A feature on the Google Hangout thingy thing. If you're there, I'll also answer questions on that. I basically have that and a Twitter live thing on. Yeah, so and also like the other problem with April is American tax season. That's really, you get people who after the 15th or this year the 18th are going to end up kicking in, but you're going to have people who are wary or unback around the same time of tax season because unexpected expenses or whatever. The other cadences to think about when you're doing planning is that people, like state workers, get paid these on the 1st or the 5th. And it's almost smarter. I've heard some people say, and I can kind of see around it, it's actually smarter to maybe try to end where that's toward the middle or the end of the cycle rather than the beginning. So that you can kind of get people, you can kind of build up some momentum, and then when those people get like their monthly check, they can be, you know, they can go ahead and get in. And if you get them in too early, they might not notice by the time they put their like, you know, monthly, hey, I can blow this money in there. So the rhythm of a Kickstarter time, that's sort of a big deal. I know there's a lot of weird, stupid, like economic psychology stuff that goes on to making a Kickstarter happen, and trying to not treat it too seriously is a big deal if this is a fun thing that you're doing. That admittedly can be stressful because it's basically a part-time job that I have, but I've been doing this part-time job for a while. The other thing, man, just sort of, there's so many other things, and I'm seriously really hoping that one of you people who's watching right now, of which there are 3 of you, will ask me a different question. Let's see. I completely unrelated. I played a fantastic game over at the Vernon Wells Nerd Club today called Fuse, which is a cooperative game where you're supposed to defuse a couple bombs or a bunch of bombs, and that was really fun. 10 minutes or less, because there's an actual timer. It tells you that things blow up in 10 minutes if you're done. So you might want to check that out. That was at least fun. I enjoyed it. All right, back to cats. Back to cats. No, there we go. I'll try that one more time, and we'll see. I'll have some sketch. It would be really great to have people like Josh Roby to basically save me from moments where I become overwhelmed, which is going to be great. That makes it we can I was able to do that actually once when I was at Emerald City Comic Con. Able to text them and say, hey, could you jump in with a comment here real quick, because I have no ability to actually send. I can apparently load my Kickstarter page, see a bunch of comments, but I cannot send, and I won't be home for a while. So it's great but I could actually get that text message out when I found the signal. That was great. Having Anna involved has already been really fantastic. And I don't know, just being able to pay really incredible people for really awesome work is just really happy. Like, a big chunk of why I did this as a Kickstarter in this fashion was so that I could actually pay my friends and folks that I just met to do this really cool, weird 100 and some odd jam band with me. I could have done it for much cheaper. I could have probably done it without really like raising money for a Kickstarter or whatever by doing it as a PDF and like a POD through drive-through or whatever. But I didn't want to do that. I wanted to do a stupid big thing. We had some horrible jokes when it came to. Oh, do we have another question? Aha! I have questions. Yay! Sweet. Sweet. So Daigle saying that Adam Daigle, fantastic Pfizer human. Can't figure out how to communicate through the Hangout. The song sounds totally like an early Ween song. I will make sure that Tim knows that. In fact, I will. I need to actually read it right now. The world keeps how did I manage to find so many talented, attractive writers? Says or asks one of the talented, attractive white writers, Ian Watson. So I actually had this like question posed by a bunch of people, because the moment you say, yeah, I've got like 100 and some odd writers on this book, people first look at you and ask you, what the hell are you thinking? And then as I actually explain to them, a lot of the point about it is about to get a huge crowd of different people with different viewpoints that can write genuinely about, disparate, diverse things, and also to create a cacophony, and also just to have a lot of fun with it. When I sort of explain that, people didn't ask how I find that. I have. It got a lot of connections just working in a lot of different places in the game world. And I was, editor at Paizo for a while. I was one of the early like evil hat freelancers. The time I spent doing work for Honest Path, meeting a lot of people at Gen Con parties. That gave me like the first basically 40 or some odd people that actually said, yeah, I think I'll write some words for you. And then the other 50 or so are and there's more than that. I can't exactly remember, but I have a list somewhere. But the other 50 or so was from the open call. I ended up finding a bunch of people, and 50 made it all the way through to, I will actually pay you money for the work that you just gave me. That's actually what I did today. Was I set up a PayPal mass payment and paid a bunch of those freelancers off, and that was great. I always love being able to give people money for a thing they're doing. Okay, now that we're doing this, now that we're in Catland, close that window. So yeah, are there any other questions? I do not see other questions. So, and with artists right now, we're doing the call for artists. Anna's got a bunch of people that she's reached out to, and that she's been collecting through the call. We're doing the call through May 11th because we want to be able to start speccing out and assigning work to people as early as June, based on what we know about the project, where it's going, and probably some later when writers turn in stuff that surprises us, and we're like, oh yeah, we definitely want to order out of this. The coming out, so the thing that I have to do this month is finish preparing the Immortal beta, which is the basically the MVP of the rules, the minimum viable product of the rules, so that people can start playing with that in their group. And by minimal viable product, I mean full like character creation and conflict rules and the essentials on how to be a story master and things like that. Elements of the world that you can use to immediately go out and play. That's not the entire book, but it'll be a big chunk of the book, and it will likely be even as people play test it. We know that this is basically a playtest draft, so we won't be spending all of the time honing a lot of the ridiculousness of the language exactly then. Some of it will be, and some of it will be like, okay, well, I know that this writer is going to get me back a more ridiculous version of an example for the combat or something like that. But right now, this will actually work. So a lot of what we're doing to make sure that we can get that out by June 15th, while giving my writers time to turn in the stuff that will be later, the more overwrought elements of that. We're going to basically be doing this beta. There is hey Jules, ask your question again, as I think I answered it already. Ask it on Twitter or on the Q&A. Twitter has a little lag for me. Behold fire. Behold not fire. And as far as like core staff goes, I've been wanting to work with Adam Drury for a long time. So when he agreed to do my stupid, ridiculous original Katanas and Trenchcoats project, that was fantastic. And he agreed to do year 2, and year 2 will look totally different because for one, I learned that it's really cute and funny to do a magazine style thing where things fit the copies, things fit the spreads like I did over Paizo, but it's so much easier when you can just work a flow and say this thing can end up half a page later. I don't have to like cut it down or fill in more stuff. And it works like that because we're making a longer flow book, as opposed to this section is 2 pages and this section is 2 pages. And this section gets to be 4 pages because we're being fancy. What did I learn in my best moment? All right, so that's at the beginning of the video. All right, the recap. Okay, what did I learn? It reinforced a lot about the timing of when to start and stop a Kickstarter. What I did was basically worst practices in a way that worked out because of the joke. But if you're not really pinning yourself to a joke, don't do any of the timing that I did. And then so that I don't like really best moments, but I like thinking about highlights. Being a day one funder was really exciting, and terrifying a little bit, but really exciting. Getting to looking at not like 55 or so hours ago and seeing that we were like $4,000 away from unlocking color and wondering if we're going to pull that out in 48 hours and pulling it out and then some was pretty stunning. There's a fan song that we've just been playing. That's kind of ridiculous. And the stuff that people have been doing on the metagame has been great. Watching people I don't know be excited about my game has been fantastic. And the people who reach out to me. Yeah, I think that those are the highlights. I'm going to talk more about specifics. I'm actually going to blog a bunch about the process, a bunch about the numbers, all that sort of stuff. Kind of give you not necessarily like a transparent, because I think that's the wrong idea. Because I mean, transparency is great for the perspective of what I'm doing, but what I want to do is something more sort of educational, illuminating, for the sense of like, if you want to do this too, here are things that you can take away from my experience. Let's see, and then do we have? Okay. Let's see. Other than that, did any of them maybe go on the YOLF hashtag? Probably not. Okay. Yeah. So with that, I'll probably stay on for a few more minutes. The nice thing about, I suppose, doing a countdown hangout at after midnight is dramatic lighting. Okay, speaking of, so that video took me 8 hours of a filming day, which include makeup, ironing the green screen, setting up, doing some test shoots, not realizing that the camera we were doing the test shoots on had a light problem, and our second camera had a different light problem. The first camera, which was technically a better camera, which is actually why it had the worst light problem, had too good of a microphone, so it kept picking up my friend who was helping me do the basically being my production, my film, my videographer, and my PA. Kept hearing him breathe. So like you could pick all that up. So his audio was totally like that one, not useful at all. So we have my iPhone from like 3 feet away. It's filming me as our B camera. And so that's why I sound in the video like I'm shouting into the distance. And that sounded horrible. We did what we could to clean it up. And in the end, we're like, well, I could just throw some lightning on this and it sounds legit. But you can hear, but it sounds wrong in the normal me version of it. So I had to do some ADR, and it took 3 hours to redub 15 seconds. And if you listen, you can hear where I slammed 2 tonsils together really quickly in Adobe Audition because I couldn't quite lip sync a couple of them and just got tired of trying to. And so I just sort of cut the vowel in just the right place and slammed a couple of consonants together, and that ended up working out. But that was because that took me like 3 hours to do 15 seconds of ADR. It was not going to, like, the rest of it was like, you know what, echoey. There are going to be bats at some point. It's going to work out just fine. It'll be okay. And that whole process too, like the filming was like an 8-hour day on like the 2-3 Saturday. Yeah, it was like the second Saturday of March. And then I spent 2 weeks doing post-production. Just I come home, I go play with Adobe Premiere until it would crash on me. You know, rage, rinse, repeat. But yeah, but that was a lot of fun. I think it was worth it. It really demonstrated the commitment that I'm willing to put into the joke. And also it was just funny. I'm wearing the collar now. I probably gonna sell it at some point. Let's see. Any other questions? There are no other questions. No other questions. All right, let's play the song again. And hopefully there'll be a question. It's my way of coping with the with a bunch of the just sort of the day. I dealt with or just like in general. This is also the month where Destiny's April update happened, so it was like, oh well, I know what I'm gonna do when I need to like blow off some steam, and I've got I play with the PlayStation Clan, and we goof off and have fun, and it's been actually really great to be able to do that, so that I can just like, okay, I'm gonna go and just rinse off the whole. Hey, I'm kind of stressed out right now. I'm gonna shoot aliens for an hour. And this is Iron Banner week, which for those of you who don't know, basically is a big like week of PvP where you get special rules of PvP. And I'm not a great PvP player, but my clan is fun to play with. And so I've been getting shot in the face a bunch. But it's been still chill to like all right, go on for an hour and QQ for a bit. I might actually do that before I go to bed, because it's been it's been my thing. It's cool. Nobody there really cares. Nobody in my clan actually really I think cares about my Kickstarter, which is great because it means that nobody in my clan is going to be like, so how's it going? Ooh. Important question. How would one watch a Hangouts video via iPad? I'm glad you asked, because I'm going to answer that question over the Hangout video. I think if I send you the YouTube link, Matt Jackson, you will find out. Let me just try this. Although, like, leaving. No. So, are there any other questions? Dark passions and discarding seasons, eons pass. The world keeps turning. So, let's see. If you have any questions about the game or about, I don't know. I made a bunch of taco meat a couple days ago, knowing that like I might just want to heat stuff up. Like, oh, I'm gonna cook dinner and lunch for like 2.5 days, because at the end of my campaign, I probably will not want to spend time waiting around to cook food that we're too stressed out by it. That ended up being useful. Like there are little tiny like life hacks you have to do during the Kickstarter that. Drinking, I suppose, is a life hack, but I try not to actually rely on that too much. Night Macklin is a thing that is a cute joke, not a lifestyle choice, as it used to be in the past. I tried to find a collar on Amazon that was as cheap. It was like cheaper than going to like a pet store. I thought they were all like not awesome, so I paid pet store prices for dog collar. That's pretty ridiculous, but it's technically a write-off. Anyway, so we're about to get that damn cat song again. Let me just stop that. So yeah, oh man. It has been a really great, but still pretty exhausting last 30 days. So I'm definitely gonna spend a few days unwinding, while having other people actually handle some of the stuff for me. Like Anna's right now on the artist hunt, and she's getting the emails that people are sending to what's it? I like doing arts at so many katanas.com, I think is what I put it at. And I'm going, and I need to go through and update some of the stuff so that I can get the freelancers going. I'm not hiring people to do work until money is in the account, because I want to make sure that nothing possibly happens. Like, you know, as far as like the transfer process, I want to be like super due diligent about treating my freelancers with respect. I mean, a bunch of people have already started doing stuff for me, but like, no, I don't want to do that in bulk. Where like, oh, turns out I can't do the project, but I should pay you guys $4,000 right now. That would be horribly ridiculous. Come on, questions. No questions. Come on. This is, by the way, why you don't end a Kickstarter or do something like this at midnight Pacific time, especially on a Saturday. Friday would also be horrible too. And my plans for tomorrow is to see a friend I haven't seen in a while. Play a game with friends of mine. I'm asleep. That'd be great. I'm asleep. And then I'm gonna spend time. Like, I'm gonna try to like take. Like I said, try to take like a few days, like a week off. But in the end, I'm not gonna be able to really do that. I'm just gonna make sure that I don't go immediately from a stress fundraising mode to a stress work mode, because that makes the first bits of decisions I will make a bit impaired. That's something that I just know from experience. So like the idea of being able to pace yourself in something that is a long haul, something that's a many-month project. I mean, at this point, given the fact that there are things happening after the book that are going to be greenlit, like the fate guide, stuff like that, this would be a year and change project for me. So, yeah, that is, I don't know. So I got to make sure that I keep that going. Respect other people's time, respect the fact that they're doing paid work, and that I'm not the only person working for them. I'm not the only client they have as far as freelancers go. Respect the fact that you guys were amazing, like 895 of you, like wow. But yeah, so that's a thing that I've got to. But yeah, it's just like now I'm in pacing mode. Now I'm in long-term project mode. Because I was watching a slightly old John Oliver yesterday, where it was the segment about fundraising, and it did like a campaign constantly fundraising like throughout the year for congressmen, Congress peoples, and it didn't quite hit home because we're doing something totally different. It's a fundraising period, and then there's an actually doing the work period, and then there's the like at some point backer kit opens up and you can up your order if you want, or do add-ons, which we're thinking about, like, because backer kit lets us do add-ons that don't have anything to do with the project. I'm going to double check the rules. Pretty sure I've seen that. But you can basically order other stuff and basically can't be able to come in the same box, the same media mail price. But yeah, let me. I'm going to go and talk this again. Problem with talking while smoking a pipe is the pipe goes out. It's not like a cigar in that fashion. All a cigar will go out. Like there's not the accelerant that you get in cigarette tobacco, in the way it's sort of packaged. So it's a lot like smoking a pipe is like tea versus the coffee that is a cigar. As far as like sort of that sort of vibe, it's like I'm gonna be chill. I can just keep lighting. It's not really a problem. It's a very, very chill kind of subculture of tobacco smoking people. There's a question. The points to unlock things for people tweeting YOLF or making KNT fan art. How did you get the idea? And, is there a second part of the question? You're leaving me hanging, Matt Jackson. Hanging. Oh, I wonder how long until my battery runs out. That's saying 27 minutes. I bet that really means more like 10, which is, I think, definitely a good limit for this, because I'm going on much longer than I was expecting. Although, to be fair, I probably should have started this much sooner and give people a chance to actually know to come in. So I've just, and what neat things did I learn from it? Okay, so real quick, if you're gonna do something like a live stream at the very end, don't start it like 5 minutes beforehand, because apparently it takes a bit for people to jump on and be like, oh yeah, you're doing a thing. So hey, I just learned that. So for as far as the question goes, the points to unlock things for tweeting and making fiction and stuff like that. The first stroke is, the idea is pictures worth 1,000 words. I changed the word words to dollars. Pictures worth $1,000, and that gave me the one picture is going to be the same as unlocking, spending money. Given that, and I decided that around 5 points meant that I could have a little bonus wiggle room of like, that's worth that thing. There's a bonus this week of like, it's worth 2 more points. It's not like it's not like a full increment bump, but allows me for basically fractional incrementing. Not unlike the whole concept of Fahrenheit being the crazy gradient system it is, because people don't like decimal points. And this is not defending or slamming Fahrenheit. I do not have a dog in that race, because it's just how things work here in America. But that is part of its design philosophy, is people don't like, people don't like decimal points as far as like when it comes to that sort of stuff. So whole numbers. So 5 allowed me to have a unit that was the basic thing. And when we started unlocking things, I had basically had enough stuff happen that I'm like, okay, a thing is unlocked, and now we're going to start doing things at every 25 or every 5 essential units of stuff, which seem to happen about once every couple days. Some of the smaller things I graded a little bit smaller, and I allowed things to have bounties over the weekend so that people had reasons to engage the idea of the game during weekend time as opposed to during like office hour time. But that's where a lot of that stuff coming in. And it ended up just sort of shaking out. I basically had to play test the concept of the game. It didn't work out the first time, so I revised it before anyone knew the scoring metric. And then figured out that seemed to be probably where I wanted to do. And I staggered the reveals for them, because I didn't know how quickly they would be burned through. And it turned out that just having them a linear staggering of 25 each was the right call. But I knew that if I had done it like too much, then like, it took you 2 weeks to unlock the first 4 things, and I have like, 15, 16 of them planned, something like that. I forget now the numbers. Numbers all jumble at this moment. I need to adjust that. And if you burn through them all in like one day, like, well, I have to increase the difficulty. So that was why I ended up staging them out the way I did. And it turned out, actually, I think staged pretty well. I think I guessed about right. And I just watched the engagement happen. And I basically played a lot with the points then, in the same way that a GM might sort of very ad hoc, like, oh, yes, that is worth that. This is worth this. I basically GM'd a weird little game. I hope that answers your question, Matt. It does answer your question, Matt. I hope you're satisfied with the answer. I actually genuinely hope that you're satisfied with the answer. I'm not trying to make you feel bad, Matt Jackson. You've got a really awesome name. You're also one of the writers on Katanas and Trenchcoats. Oh, you asked what did I see from it, not learn from it. Okay. I can totally match that up with Jules's comment about what did I learn from the thing. I mean, okay, I've been gushing about Tim's song, and I'm actually going to use that, I think, as the pacing mechanic for I'm probably going to be now done. There we go. I think when this song sort of wraps up, I think I'm gonna head back in. So I saw. Well, okay, so first I was actually expecting to see more selfies, and I didn't see a lot of them. That surprised me. I heard some people were planning on doing selfies. I think part of it surprised me is that people were talking about doing it but didn't. But I got some surprising art. There was the like werewolf. I think the first one was like a werewolf with a katana that just looked ridiculous. The guy doing Snake Eyes Delgado, like 3 stories with that was like, I mean, I ended up like, I think he wrote like 7,000 and some odd words of fan fiction for it. He wrote more than you, like that guy wrote basically more than 20 times what most of my writers on the project are going to be writing. I have the archive somewhere of the various plot hooks. If I don't, it's because I've forgotten. I should actually just storify that so other people can see that. But yeah. But yeah, I guess I'm surprised by people who did that, and I think the first one who gave me a good an immortal selfie was so super like a vampire at an art gallery thing, and it's just like that was very on point. I think that. Yeah, I'm going to see if I can just. Is my collar of black leather. Alright, storify the metagame. See if I actually can go back that far to do so. I really should have done that earlier. The fact that I only think the things that I've thought about doing after the fact, like calling the color darkest color, like came. Like what, yesterday I think is when I finally realized that's what I should be calling the thing the whole time. There was a tagline that came up a couple of days ago that I really regretted not remembering before, and I can't even remember it now. But yeah, I'm ramblier than usual, so I think I will see. Aha, yes, I have another one. Hey, Josh. So I put a banner ad up on RPGNet, and I don't have a way to differentiate some results what some of the other results have, but I think I got, let's see if I look here. So I put a banner ad up, and I accidentally didn't have any good like tracking going on to figure out clicks versus people, or just like impressions versus clicks versus people converting. But I can. Oh, this thing looks totally different now that I've funded. Also, it's taking forever to load. So let's go to referrers. Come on, scroll down. Ah, yes, you are dying, computer. You are dying like someone who dies in a die fire. So, of the backers, there were 28 folks who came in from forum.rpg.net, which may have been from someone posting about it. And I was doing like Google searches on Katanas and Trenchcoats, so it wasn't a lot of for RPGNet chatter that I noticed. But a bunch of them happened after the ad came in, and of that, like $1,200 came from that. So it was definitely, I think, a worthy ad spend. Am I? My video's lagging. Hopefully, my what's the opposite of video? Audio is not lagging. But yeah, so I think I got enough results that it was worthwhile. I would totally do RPGNet again. I think I would do a better form of tracking that isn't giving them a direct link to the thing, but giving them a tracking link that allows me to actually see if people are actually hitting it. That's a thing that you really gotta. There's a lot when it comes to ad marketing that I have learned over like the last year. there's so much interesting stuff about it that will surprise you to know a bunch of things. Man, all right. I should wrap this up because I am tired. I am tired like a stupid tired person. But with that, friends, thank you so much for beginning this aphotic journey with me. And I will catch you all in the darkest cosmos. YOLF.